Have you ever looked at the woman you're with and felt a quiet question in your heart? Is she truly loyal? Or am I ignoring the signs because I don't want to face the truth? Most men never dare to ask themselves this question until it's too late. But you're here because you want clarity, because you value peace over illusions. That's exactly what Marcus Aurelius would want, to see reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. So before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and most importantly, watch this video till the very end, because one sign taken alone may mean nothing. But when these hidden signs begin to overlap, your love life could be standing on fragile ground. And trust me, understanding this could save you years of wasted time, heartbreak, and regret. Now let's dive into 11 hidden signs.
She's not loyal.
Through the Stoic truth about women and relationships. 1. Her words don't match her actions. Have you ever been in love so deeply that you believed every word she said? Do you remember those late-night conversations? When her voice was soft and she promised you things like, "I'll never hurt you. You're the only one I want. I see my future with you." Now pause for a second. How many of those words actually showed up in her actions? You see, this is where most men get trapped. We fall in love with the words because words are beautiful. They're easy to believe, especially when spoken by someone we care about. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if someone is mistaken, instruct them kindly and show them their error. But if they resist truth, distance yourself. Think about that. Truth isn't in what someone says, it's in what they do. I want you to reflect on your own story here. Maybe there was a time when she told you she couldn't wait to see you. But when the day came, she canceled last minute with a vague excuse. Or perhaps she promised that you were her priority. Yet somehow her friends, her work, or even complete strangers on social media seemed to get more of her time than you did. Let me paint this clearer. Imagine a man sitting by the window waiting. He remembers her words, "I'll be there, I promise." Hours pass, the clock ticks. His messages go unread. When she finally replies, the excuse feels shallow. He wants to believe her, but deep down a quiet ache forms. Why? Because her actions betrayed her words. Now here's the thing. Most of us ignore this ache. We convince ourselves it doesn't mean much. We cling to the sweetness of her words instead of the truth of her actions. But this is exactly where love stories turn into painful lessons. I want you to ask yourself honestly, have you ever been in that place? Where you replay her words in your head almost like a song, but your gut keeps telling you something is off? This is why the Stoics, and especially Marcus Aurelius, emphasize clarity over comfort. He didn't live in fantasies, he lived in reality. And reality is this: loyalty is not proven in what she says under candlelight. It is proven in the choices she makes when no one is watching. Think about it. If she says you're the only one, but her actions show she's emotionally distracted, is she truly loyal? If she says you're her priority, but you always feel like an option, what's the truth? A woman's words may charm your ears, but her actions will always tell you where her heart really is. And if those two don't align, then my friend, you're not in a love story. You're in a story of self-deception. So let me leave you with this. Don't just remember her promises. Remember her patterns. Because promises are cheap, but patterns never lie. 2. She protects her phone like a secret diary. Have you ever noticed how someone's whole body language changes when their phone lights up? Think about her. You're sitting together laughing, maybe even holding hands. The moment that little screen buzzes, she shifts. She tilts the phone away, locks it instantly, or suddenly excuses herself. And in that instant, something inside you whispers, why is she hiding? Let's be real for a moment. Every man watching this has been there. You remember the time when her phone was lying face down on the table, almost as if the screen itself was dangerous. Or how she once smiled at a message, quickly glanced at you, then locked it faster than lightning. Do you remember how that felt? That silent tension, it wasn't just about the phone. It was about trust. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what happens when your thoughts are poisoned by suspicion? What happens when the person you love most treats a phone like it's a vault filled with secrets? Let's put this in a story. Imagine a man named Daniel. He loved his girlfriend deeply, but over time he noticed something. Every time he walked into the room, she'd minimize her apps, swipe away conversations, or flip her phone upside down. At first he ignored it. He told himself, "I'm just overthinking. She loves me, I know she does." But as weeks turned into months, That same little knot of doubt in his stomach grew heavier. And here's the truth most men don't want to admit. It's not about needing to read her messages. It's about the energy of secrecy. Loyalty thrives in openness, but secrecy thrives in shadows. And where there are shadows, doubt lives. Ask yourself, why would a woman who claims loyalty need to guard her phone like a soldier protecting classified information? Isn't loyalty supposed to feel safe, transparent, and unafraid? Here's where the Stoic perspective comes in. Marcus Aurelius taught us to control our reactions, not the actions of others. That means this: if her phone behavior constantly breeds suspicion, it's not your job to snoop, argue, or beg for reassurance. It's your job to observe reality. Because let's face it, when a woman is loyal, her phone isn't a weapon. She doesn't panic when you see a notification. She doesn't flinch when her messages light up in front of you. She has nothing to fear, nothing to hide. Her loyalty makes her transparent without you even asking. But when her loyalty is questionable, the phone becomes a shield, a modern diary where every entry is hidden, every word is locked behind passwords and patterns, and your heart begins to feel what your mind refuses to accept. Maybe, just maybe, her attention isn't yours alone. So here's the question I'll leave you with. Are you ignoring the signs on her phone because you're afraid of the truth? Remember, loyalty doesn't hide. It never needs to. And if her phone has become a fortress, maybe her heart already has too. 3. Her loyalty wavers under temptation. What do you think loyalty really means? Is it just saying I'm yours when things are easy? Or is it proving that devotion when temptation walks through the door? Because here's the truth. Loyalty isn't tested in comfort. Loyalty is tested when another man offers her attention, charm, or opportunity. That's when you see her true character. Picture this for a moment. You're at a party with her. Music's playing, people are laughing, and everything seems fine. Then another guy approaches her, he compliments her smile, leans in a little too close, maybe even touches her arm. Now pause. How does she react? A loyal woman shuts that down gracefully. She doesn't need to create a scene. But her body language, her tone, her energy all say, I'm already taken. She makes you feel safe even when you're not in the room. But a disloyal woman? She'll entertain it. Maybe she laughs too long at his jokes. Maybe she doesn't pull her arm away. Maybe she enjoys the attention while you stand there pretending not to notice. That's when the whispers of doubt begin. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." What does this mean here? You can't control whether temptation comes her way. Men will approach her, it's life. But what you can observe is how she responds. That's the reflection of her loyalty. Let's make this personal. Have you ever been in love with someone who craved attention? Not just from you, but from everyone around her? Maybe you told yourself it was harmless, that she was just friendly. But deep down it hurt, didn't it? Because it felt like your love wasn't enough to satisfy her. Here's where men often go wrong. We think if we just love her harder, give her more, she'll stop needing that external validation. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Marcus Aurelius would say, look at reality as it is. If she constantly seeks the eyes of others, she is revealing her truth. A loyal woman finds her validation in her bond with you. A disloyal woman needs the whole world to feed her ego. And the danger here is subtle. Her disloyalty may not start with betrayal, but with the constant hunger for attention. That hunger, if unchecked, eventually leads her into the arms of another. So I'll ask you directly, when temptation comes knocking, does she close the door or does she leave it cracked open? Because here's the lesson. You don't need to wait for disloyalty to fully reveal itself. You can see it in how she handles temptation. Loyalty is not about what she promises. It's about what she proves when no one's watching, and when another man offers her what you already give. And if her loyalty wavers under temptation, then my friend, she was never truly loyal to begin with. 4. She avoids commitment conversations. Have you ever tried to talk about the future with her, and suddenly the air in the room changed? One moment you're laughing, imagining where life could take you both, and the next moment she's fidgeting, smiling nervously, or quickly changing the subject. It feels like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. Here's the reality. Commitment conversations are like mirrors. They don't create problems, they reveal them. A woman who is loyal, grounded, and genuinely invested doesn't flinch when you bring up the future. She leans into it. She wants to talk about building a life together, even if it's just small steps. But the woman who avoids those talks, she's telling you something without saying it. Let's turn this into a story. Imagine a man named Armin. He adored his girlfriend. They'd been together for almost 2 years, and in his heart he was ready to take the next step. One night, while walking by the river, he asked casually, "Where do you see us in the next couple of years?" She laughed lightly, looked away and said, "Oh, I don't like thinking about the future too much. Let's just live in the moment." At first, Armin brushed it off. He thought maybe she was just spontaneous. Maybe she didn't want to overcomplicate things. But over time, every time he tried to revisit the topic, the answer was the same: laughter, deflection, or silence. Slowly, he realized that what she truly meant was, "I don't see a future here. I only see a present." Now here's the painful truth. Many men ignore this red flag because they are in love with the idea of her. They think, if I'm patient, she'll change. If I prove my worth, she'll see I'm serious. But Marcus Aurelius teaches us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In the same way, waste no more time begging a woman to dream with you. A loyal woman doesn't fear commitment, she embraces it. She doesn't treat your questions as pressure. She treats them as possibilities. Let me make this personal for you. Ask yourself, when you talk about commitment, does she light up or shut down? Does she meet your questions with warmth or with walls? A woman who avoids commitment conversations isn't always plotting betrayal, but she's keeping her options open. And here's where Stoic wisdom comes in. You cannot control whether she chooses to commit. What you can control is your decision to see her avoidance for what it is, not just nerves, but a sign of where her heart truly lies. Because loyalty isn't just about what she gives today. It's about whether she's willing to walk with you into tomorrow. And if she cannot face that future with you, then my friend, she was never building one to begin with. 5. She's different around her friends. Have you ever noticed how the woman you love changes when she's around her friends? When it's just the two of you, she's sweet, affectionate, even gentle. She holds your hand, looks at you like you're her whole world, and makes you feel secure. But the moment her friends join in, suddenly she shifts. Maybe she acts colder, maybe she teases you, maybe she even joins in laughing at things she'd never laugh at if you were alone. Why does this happen? And why does it hurt so much when it does? Here's the truth: character is revealed in consistency. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But not just thoughts, the company she keeps also leaves a mark. A woman who is loyal doesn't become a different person depending on her environment. She remains steady, grounded, and respectful whether she's with you, her friends, or even strangers. Let's turn this into a story. Imagine a man named Omar. When it was just him and his girlfriend, she was perfect, kind, supportive, and tender. But whenever they were out with her group of friends, she treated him differently. She'd roll her eyes at his jokes, brush off his affection, or act distant, almost as if she didn't want to be seen as too close to him. At first, Omar thought it was harmless. Maybe she just wanted to fit in with her friends. Maybe it was just her way of balancing things. But deep down it stung, because loyalty isn't just about staying faithful behind closed doors. It's about honoring your bond no matter who's watching. Now think about your own story. Have you ever felt that sting? You're with her, but you feel invisible. You wonder, why does she need to act different just because her friends are here? Why am I treated like a stranger when I should be her partner? The Stoic truth is simple. People reveal themselves in the environments they're most comfortable in. If she's loyal, she doesn't need to hide her love. If she's genuine, she doesn't need to downplay her respect for you just to gain approval from her friends. But if her behavior shifts like the wind, you're not dealing with consistency, you're dealing with performance. Here's the painful part. Often her friends reflect her choices. If they encourage disloyalty, mock relationships, or normalize disrespect, then she absorbs that energy. And Marcus Aurelius was clear. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. If her circle of influence thrives on disloyalty, don't be surprised if she begins to mirror it. So ask yourself this: does she honor you in every setting or only when it's convenient? Because true loyalty doesn't shrink in front of an audience, it stands taller. And if she's a different person when her friends are watching, then my friend, you're not seeing loyalty, you're seeing masks. 6. She constantly tests boundaries. Have you ever felt like she's pushing you, little by little, just to see how much you'll tolerate? At first it's something small. Maybe she flirts lightly with another guy in front of you, then laughs it off with, "Relax, I was just joking." Or she disappears for a few hours, comes back with a weak excuse, and expects you to brush it aside. Sound familiar? That's what testing boundaries looks like. And here's the truth. You don't lose respect in one big explosion. You lose it drip by drip. Each time you let something slide that you knew deep down didn't feel right. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. In relationships, this means you cannot control her behavior, but you can control your response. And your response determines whether your relationship grows stronger or whether it crumbles under quiet disrespect. Let's step into a story. Imagine a man named Farhan. In the beginning, his girlfriend was sweet, attentive, and respectful. But as time passed, she started to push limits. One night, she stayed out late, ignored his calls, and came home with a vague explanation. Farhan was upset, but he told himself, "Don't overreact. It's just one time." But then it happened again and again. Each time she tested him a little more. Each time he let it slide because he was afraid of losing her. And without realizing it, Farhan wasn't in love anymore. He was in a constant negotiation with his own self-respect. Now think about your own story. Has she ever crossed a line, apologized, and then done the exact same thing again later? Did you let it go because you thought it wasn't worth the fight? Here's the Stoic truth. When you allow boundaries to be crossed repeatedly, you teach her that your limits don't matter, and loyalty cannot exist where respect is absent. Ask yourself this: what does she do when you say no? Does she respect it, or does she push harder until you give in? A loyal woman doesn't play games with your limits. She understands that love is not about control, but about mutual respect. But a disloyal woman? She sees how much she can get away with. The painful part is this: she may not even be fully aware she's doing it. Testing boundaries is often less about love and more about power. And if she's more concerned with what she can do than what she should do, then she's already telling you where her loyalty lies. With herself, not with the relationship. So here's the lesson. Don't ignore the small cracks. The Stoics remind us that weakness begins in the smallest places. If she constantly tests your boundaries, don't fool yourself into thinking it's harmless, because what starts as just joking often ends in broken trust. And loyalty cannot survive when respect is chipped away one boundary at a time. 7. She becomes defensive when you question. Have you ever brought up a simple concern with her, only to end up feeling like you were the problem? You ask an honest question like, "Why didn't you answer my calls last night?" Or, "Who was that guy you were chatting with?" And suddenly the atmosphere changes. Her eyes narrow, her tone sharpens, and instead of clarity, you're hit with accusations. Why are you so insecure? Why don't you trust me? Why are you always overthinking? Sound familiar? This is what defensiveness looks like. And it's one of the clearest signs that her loyalty might not be where she claims it is. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Think about that. A woman who is truly loyal, truly honest, doesn't fear your questions. She answers them openly because she has nothing to hide. But a woman who is disloyal sees your questions as threats. Threats to the story she's trying to protect. Let's step into a story. Imagine a man named Imran. He noticed his girlfriend spending more and more time texting late at night. Out of love and a bit of concern, he asked her, "Who do you talk to so much at night?" Instead of giving a calm answer, she snapped back, "Why are you spying on me? Don't you trust me? You're suffocating me with all these questions." At first, Imran felt guilty. He thought maybe he was being controlling. But deep down, he wasn't trying to control her. He was simply asking for honesty. That guilt wasn't his to carry. It was her way of deflecting attention away from the truth. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, has this ever happened to you? Have you ever walked away from a conversation scratching your head, wondering how asking a simple, honest question turned into an argument about your flaws? This is no accident. Defensiveness is a shield. It's a way for her to avoid accountability, to turn the spotlight back onto you so you stop looking at her. And over time, this tactic chips away at your peace, because you begin to doubt yourself instead of her actions. The Stoic perspective is powerful here. Marcus Aurelius would remind you, don't be fooled by words, look at reality. If her loyalty is real, your questions will never scare her. In fact, They'll strengthen the bond because she'll meet them with honesty and reassurance. But if her first instinct is to attack you for asking, she's revealing a truth. Her actions can't withstand the light of questions. So here's the hard lesson. If she becomes defensive, every time you bring up a concern, it's not because you're too insecure. It's because she's too invested in hiding something. Remember this. Loyalty welcomes questions because loyalty has nothing to fear. But defensiveness? That's the mask disloyalty wears when it's afraid of being seen. Sign 8. She disappears during important moments. When life hits you hardest, who do you expect to be standing beside you? When you're sick, when you lose a job, when you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, who do you hope will show up without hesitation? If your answer is the woman I love, then you understand one of the purest definitions of loyalty. Loyalty is not proven in the easy times, when everything is fun, exciting, and effortless. Loyalty reveals itself in the storms. And sadly, if she disappears during the moments that matter most, it's a sign her heart is not truly invested. Picture this story. Allie had been dating Sarah for over a year. They laughed together, traveled together, posted smiling photos online. But one day, Allie's father fell seriously ill. He was overwhelmed with hospital visits, stress, and financial pressure. He expected Sarah to be his pillar of support, even if it was just a comforting word or sitting quietly by his side. But instead, she vanished. Excuses poured in. I'm too busy with work, or hospitals make me uncomfortable. And when Ali needed her most, she was nowhere to be found. Now let's pause. Has something like this ever happened to you? Have you ever noticed that she's around when it's fun, but absent when it's heavy? If so, that's not just forgetfulness. It's a reflection of where her loyalty truly lies. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You will meet people who are ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and selfish. None of them can harm you." What he meant is this: people's actions reveal who they are, not who they claim to be. If she loves you only when it's convenient, she's not loyal to you, she's loyal to her own comfort. Think about your own love story. Remember the moments you've been tested, whether it was sickness, financial struggles, or emotional battles. Who stayed by your side? Who checked on you? Who carried some of your burden, even if it was just a word of encouragement? Those people, those rare souls, are the ones whose loyalty is pure. But if the woman you love disappears when you need her most, you're not in a partnership, you're in a performance. She's there for the applause, not the battle. And let me tell you, a woman who is only present in good times is like a shadow, visible when the sun shines, but gone the moment darkness falls. Here's the Stoic truth. Loyalty is not about words, it's about presence. A loyal woman doesn't vanish when things get heavy. She may not have the solution, but she'll be there. She'll hold your hand, bring you food, remind you that you're not alone. Because true love doesn't flee from storms, it weathers them. So ask yourself, when the weight of life pressed hardest on your shoulders, did she lean in to help or did she quietly step away? The answer tells you more about her loyalty than 1,000 promises ever could. 9. She downplays intimacy. Have you ever felt like the person you love is physically present, but emotionally absent? You're sitting together, maybe even holding hands, yet something feels distant, like there's an invisible wall between you. That's what happens when a woman starts downplaying intimacy. And let's be clear, intimacy isn't just about the physical, it's about closeness, warmth, and vulnerability. When she begins to treat intimacy as something casual, unimportant, or even inconvenient, it's often a sign her loyalty is fading. Here's a story to bring this alive. Hamza and Aisha had been together for 2 years. In the beginning, intimacy flowed naturally. They laughed late into the night. Shared secrets and physical affection came effortlessly. But slowly, Hamza noticed changes. Aisha started avoiding small touches. When he leaned in for a hug, she brushed it off with an excuse. When he tried to initiate deeper conversations, she changed the subject. And when he asked why things felt different, she shrugged and said, "You're overthinking, it's not a big deal." But to Hamza, it was a big deal. Intimacy is the glue that binds two people beyond the surface. Without it, you start to feel like strangers sharing the same space. Now pause for a moment. Think about your own love life. Do you remember how intimacy felt in the beginning? How effortless it was? How you couldn't wait to see her, touch her, talk with her? Compare that with now. Has she become distant? Does she brush off your attempts to connect? If so, that's not something you should ignore. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Apply this to your relationship. You can't control her choices, but you can control how long you tolerate disconnection disguised as normal. A woman who loves you doesn't treat intimacy as a chore. She sees it as the heartbeat of your bond. When she downplays intimacy, it's often because her energy, her emotions, or even her attention are being pulled elsewhere. Maybe she's distracted by someone new. Maybe she's already half out of the relationship. Or maybe she simply doesn't value closeness with you the way you value it with her. Whatever the reason, the truth is the same. Loyalty doesn't distance itself. Loyalty leans in. Think of intimacy as a mirror. It reflects the true state of your connection. If she avoids eye contact, shrugs off touch, and dismisses your emotional needs, that mirror is showing you something she may never admit out loud. Her loyalty isn't as strong as you hoped. So here's the lesson. Don't let anyone convince you that intimacy doesn't matter. It does. It's not about grand gestures, it's about the small, consistent ways she chooses to be close to you. If she minimizes it, excuses it, or ignores it, you're not just losing intimacy, you're losing her loyalty. 10. Her stories don't add up. Have you ever caught yourself replaying a conversation with her in your mind, only to realize something just didn't make sense? She told you she was at her friend's house, but later you hear her mention being at a restaurant. Or maybe she said her phone died, but somehow she posted on Instagram during that exact time. This is what happens when her stories don't add up. And my friend, inconsistencies are not accidents, they're clues. Here's a story. Bilal noticed small cracks in his girlfriend Sana's words. One night she told him she was going to bed early because she was exhausted. But the next day a mutual friend mentioned seeing her at a late-night cafe. Bilal brushed it off the first time, thinking maybe he misunderstood. But then it happened again. She claimed she was stuck at work, yet her social media showed a night out. Each time he asked about it, Sana had quick answers. "Oh, that was last week." Or, "You're mixing things up." At first, Bilal doubted himself. He thought maybe he was being paranoid. But deep down, his gut told him the truth. The puzzle pieces didn't fit because she wasn't giving him the full picture. Now think about your own love story. Have you ever felt that unsettling sense that her explanation sounded rehearsed? That her timelines didn't match? That the more you asked, the more confused you became? That confusion is not random, it's intentional. When someone's loyal, their story is simple because it's true. When they're not, their story becomes complicated because it's stitched together like a patchwork quilt, full of gaps and holes. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Lies, even small ones, go against nature, they weigh on the soul. And eventually, no matter how carefully someone hides them, they leave traces. That's why her stories don't align. Dishonesty is difficult to keep straight. The Stoic lesson here is simple. Don't ignore what doesn't make sense. Don't gaslight yourself into believing that confusion is normal. If she's truly loyal, her words and actions will walk hand in hand. But if you keep finding contradictions, it's a sign her loyalty is elsewhere. Here's a test. When her stories don't add up, does she calmly explain? Or does she get defensive and try to turn the blame on you? A loyal woman clears the air. A disloyal one clouds it further. So remember this, truth is simple. Lies are complicated. If you find yourself constantly trying to connect the dots of her words, and they never seem to form a full picture, you're not overthinking, you're uncovering the truth she doesn't want you to see. Her stories don't add up because her loyalty doesn't add up. And once you see that, the question becomes, are you willing to accept half-truths? Or do you value yourself enough to demand honesty? 11. Your intuition keeps whispering. Have you ever felt that quiet voice inside? The one that speaks in moments of stillness, telling you something isn't right? You try to silence it, you reason it away, but no matter how much you distract yourself, that whisper keeps returning. That whisper is your intuition. And when it comes to loyalty, it rarely lies. Here's a story to make this real. Farhan was deeply in love with Nadia. Outwardly, everything looked fine. They went on dates, shared laughs, posted happy pictures. But deep inside, Farhan felt uneasy. He couldn't explain it logically. But something about Nadia's behavior didn't sit right. Sometimes it was the way she avoided eye contact when he asked questions. Sometimes it was her sudden busy streaks that never had a clear explanation. His friends told him he was overthinking. Nadia reassured him with sweet words. But no matter what anyone said, Farhan's gut kept whispering, something is off. Eventually, he found out she had been seeing someone else on the side. His heart broke, but looking back, he realized the truth. His intuition had been right all along. Now pause for a moment. Think about your own love story. Have you ever ignored that inner whisper, only to regret it later?
Have you ever felt the heaviness in your chest when her words said one thing,
but her actions said another? That, my friend, is not paranoia. It's your natural wisdom trying to protect you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your mind keeps circling back to doubt, if your soul feels uneasy, that's not something to dismiss. It's a reflection of reality. A loyal relationship brings peace, not constant questioning. Here's the thing about intuition. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It's not dramatic. It's consistent. You might ignore it once, twice, 100 times, but it doesn't disappear. And the more you silence it, the more you betray yourself. Stoicism teaches us to live in harmony with nature, and intuition is part of your nature. It's that quiet alignment between your mind, heart, and gut. When you feel something's wrong, it's usually because at some level it is. Ask yourself, why should love feel like confusion? Why should loyalty feel like doubt? If she's truly devoted, your soul will rest in peace around her. But if your intuition keeps whispering, it means your inner self has already seen what your heart refuses to admit. So here's the hard truth. Don't silence your intuition. Don't bury it under excuses or empty promises. Listen to it. Respect it. Because in the end, that whisper is your greatest shield. And remember, loyalty brings calm. Disloyalty brings whispers. And those whispers, if you listen closely, will guide you toward the truth you need to see, bringing it together. So let's pause. These 11 signs are not to make you fearful but aware, because Marcus Aurelius never told us to control others, he told us to control ourselves. A disloyal woman is not your burden to fix. Your duty is to see clearly, to walk with dignity, and to never cling to what was never yours in truth. Remember, love must be built on loyalty, or it will collapse under illusion. And with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.